Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Network Merchandise Shop. Pick up your logo merchandise by heading over to abvnetwork.com, clicking on Shop, and start filling your basket today. We are also sponsored by the Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for something for yourself, a customized gift, or logoed items for your business gift shop, the Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebar2go.com. That's the number 2 in the Bar to Go. Don't forget our friends at Neely Family Distillery now ship their unique distilled spirits directly to you. To order yours, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. And now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we are going to discuss bourbon shipping laws. My name is Miss Beka Sue. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, along with our special guests, Heidi Fosnot, Evan Van Scoik, and Lenny Eckstein.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Hey.
Hey, hello. So we're going to talk about something, I don't know, it's probably of interest to everyone who's listening, and that's the shipping laws, as we see some changes starting to happen. And I think we want more, though, as bourbon fans. So we'll talk about where we're at and what's going on. We've got a couple distillers on here, find out what they're doing with shipping, and we'll get to that, though, after the break. For right now, Miss Beka Sue said there's something she wanted to talk about. What is that, Miss Beka Sue?
So recently, Royce and I have been watching a couple different shows about Biggie Smalls and Tupac, and then there's been all this stuff about the girl that went missing. Over in the Tetons. Over the Tetons, Gabby. And so there's just been a lot of true crime stuff going on, and I want to know if you guys get into true crime documentaries, or if you just are like, I really just do not care whatsoever. Or if like you're kind of, especially like ongoing ones, like even the Biggie and Tupac thing, like that's it's kind of still ongoing because they still don't know, right. You know, and then like this whole stuff with Gabby, and they're like trying to find, you know, Brian, and that's something that's happening right now that everyone can pay attention to. But just true crime stuff and like, you know, murders and all those type things. Do you guys like that stuff, or do you just think it's you don't give a shit about it at all, or how do you feel about it?
I'll go first. I mean, I kind of like that stuff, not necessarily about something like Gabby, where it's going on live and it's unfolding and it turns into all these web sleuths that really aren't even there or anything like that. And I think they're just muddying up what's fact and fiction. And that's a problem. So I don't like that. I do like a well-constructed, like if you watch, I don't know, any of the news shows where they've gone through and something's happened years ago, and I haven't necessarily followed the case or heard of it and followed through all the twists and turns and how they uncover, how they find them and all that. I do think that sort of stuff is interesting, but I don't like necessarily the real time things that are happening. So that I don't.
Mostly it's very sad.
Yeah, it is.
I don't think there's ever been a time where I've watched something like unfolding in front of our eyes, and it's been like, oh wow, that turned out really good. Wow, they're not dead. I mean, like, I don't think there's ever been a time when I watched true crime of unfolding in front of our eyes and it turns out in a positive manner.
I've seen enough to see some news stories, and I haven't seen like the whole video, but I guess they've got video when they got pulled over, and you just wish something would have happened right then and right there. There's just that little, you think about what little change would have needed to occur where she just goes back home and everything's fine. And then, you know, gets away, assuming that the boyfriend did it, and we can't assume he's guilty either. They got to track him down and find out what's going on, or we don't know anything at this point. So again, that's why I don't like the real time stuff, because we don't know what the real story is. So
I've been actually watching, getting updates on the Gabby Petito story. And I don't know if you guys saw this or not. So yesterday, Dog the Bounty Hunter got involved.
Yeah, saw that.
But, and it's like when
that's part of the problem. What does he know about any of this?
But, because actually he's really good.
Did he post the bond? Does he Does he have any bounty hunter protection, or would he be just the same as me going out there? He'd be the same as me.
He's looking for Brian, but Dog the bounty hunter has allegedly caught over like 6,000 people.
Yeah.
When he posts the bond,
he's caught some actually really high profile felons.
X Factor, but
anyway, but
this sounds like a PR stunt to me. By the way, buy his t-shirts if you see him interviewed. By the way, I got some new Dog the Bounty Hunter t-shirts. You might want to pick those up. These are the Rip Beth, and I got my new wife, so it's I'm Dog. No,
but that's
his involvement just turns it more into a circus. This is what I'm talking about. Why I hate it. I can't.
You're not wrong, Steve.
Dog the Bounty Hunter is just turning it more into a bigger circus. That's what needs to be playing when they get this on. Yeah.
So, but I would say that the one thing that he did bring new to the investigation or to the search for Brian is the fact that they're looking in the wrong spot. Everybody's been so focused on this Florida swamp conservation area, and now they're starting to look at like the lower part of the Appalachian Trail, because Brian, going into his history and what people have been talking about, is that he's kind of a survivalist. He's like, he's been doing this stuff since he was a kid, but that I want to know, for me, it's about his parents. Like, when are they going to hold them accountable? Because they knew something. But anyway, I digress. But yes, I do watch the true crimes and all of that stuff pretty regularly. And every time I watch it, Jim goes, "Oh, you're learning how to kill me and get away with it."
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's all women are doing. We're just taking.
Of course.
I think I'm with Steve on this one. Is not really following it live, but a really good docu-series, or forget the exact term they use, but like American Crime Story, they did the People versus O.J. Simpson. I feel like that was really good. I think that was season 1. I think this new one is like impeachment. So they're doing Bill Clinton. And then
the Wu-Tang Clan was excellent.
The Wu-Tang.
Okay.
Wu-Tang.
Yeah. I mean, that has nothing to do with crime, really. I mean, there was some crime in it.
There's some crime.
But I think we were talking about hip hop earlier. So
I did bring up Tupac and Biggie.
Good connection.
No,
Yeah,
they're
tying it together.
They got to solve Jam Master Jay. I don't care about Tupac and Biggie, but Jam Master Jay, Run DMC, that's my era. That's the one I want to solve.
Didn't he have a heart attack?
Do you ever feel when you're talking about Tupac and
He got
Biggie,
shot and killed.
people are like, "Okay, are you West Coast or East Coast? Are you Biggie or are you Tupac?"
I've never had anyone ask me that, but
Yeah,
I've also never been
Who's
that.
Heidi hanging out with? 8th graders.
This is the first
He does
time
work
I've
at the Five Below store, so now we know.
This is the first time I've actually like watched stuff about Tupac and Biggie. Ever was this past weekend, and we watched like a whole
If it's good,
on Netflix. They have one called Unsolved, and then there's
If it's good, I would watch that one, Becca. So you tell me, is it good?
I actually
watch
really
it.
enjoyed
Again, it's not real time. It's not happening now. It's still.
I
sitting out
enjoyed
there,
it because they did have some stuff that went into like after the fact of them like trying to find out more things like later on down the road. And then we watched Notorious last night, and we just got done with it about 5 minutes ago, and that was actually really good too. And it was kind of nice to work in some of the stuff we saw on Unsolved, and then hear some other like more detailed stuff in Notorious.
You know what's cool about that too, though? Super tragic to lose, artists at that age when they could have done so much more, but they leave behind, whether you one likes their music or not, they leave behind like this body of work. And I think that makes it more compelling.
Yeah.
To see what
They're 24 and 25. And I think that Biggie would have been worth like $400 million today had he not died.
Yeah.
I think it said that because his second album came out after he died, and I think they said it sold like 11 million albums like across the world, like in the world or something. So I mean, who knows what would have happened with
it's really sad
with the whole rap stuff, because they were going to be. I mean, they obviously are. They are and were big people. And it's interesting if there would have been less, if they could have mended fences, if there had never been an actual like fight between the two of them, if it would have been more like not so much separation, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
They definitely draw different emotions.
Collaboration on an album.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
We don't know. We'll never know because it'll never happen. In a parallel universe, Tupac and Biggie are still alive and killing the rap game.
At least they still make holograms of.
Yeah.
Well, I know they did Tupac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're going to do Michael Jackson next.
Michael Jackson. Next.
They actually became a WWE tag team just because later after their hip hop careers in this alternate universe, they went ahead and they started their own tag team in WWE because why not? They became best friends.
Yeah. They're out on Tupac Island, aren't they? Isn't that a thing? Tupac Island?
It would have been Biggie in WWE, and Tupac would have been his little bitch.
Jeez.
Jesus.
Good. Go, little harsh.
You know what coast you're from.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. We know where you rep.
Yeah. All right. Well, guess what? It is time to drink. What is everyone drinking? Let's start with Heidi. She needs a drink. What do you got?
Oh God, hold on. I gotta find something. All right. I'm just gonna go with the Booker's tag along.
Booker's tag along batch. Okay.
Not a new bottle.
No, pretty new. Did you do any shopping for this show? Or is this...
I did not shop for the show. I shopped because I found something that was cute and I had to go get vermouth for Jim.
So Jim told you, he told me, so he sent me a photo of what Heidi bought for the shows so she could win cork pops. This is not one of them, but I have a photo of 3 other brand new bottles she's got that I'm sure she'll be cracking out on the next 3. She's conveniently going to have new bottles. I've got a photo of it. Jim sent me. Since we weren't supposed to say anything, apparently Jim told. This is like when
one was a gift set.
Tells on himself.
75, and it's for his dad. So I'm not. Those were 2 of the bottles. All right. Nothing. Yeah, that's why she's got to go to her full bottles next. Yeah. All right, Lenny, what do you got?
Well, I do have a lot of new bottles, and
that's a brand new bottle and a new microphone.
Very new. Distillery 291 barrel proof single barrel bourbon.
Okay, that was good. Maybe enough to win. We'll see. I've got Yellowstone here. This is a 2020. Ellie. I just got the 2021 though, so. But I'm not popping that one open just yet. So just got it. All right. Cork pop. That's close. Very close. I'm going to give the nod to Lenny, though. I say Lenny's got the lead. So, Miss Beka Sue, what do you got?
I've got honeysuckle rose.
Ooh. Oh, new winner.
We have a new leader.
That's undeniable.
Miss Beka Sue. We still have Evan to go though. Evan, you have to beat Miss Beka Sue.
All right, I've got a Backbone wheat whiskey store pick.
Okay. Who picked? Is that a Total Wine store pick?
This was A1 Liquors. They called this one Weeded Sprinkles.
Okay. No, that was poor all around. Very, very sloshy. Low cork pop. Everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong there. And Miss Beka Sue wins. Cheers, gang.
Cheers.
You win. Cheers. All right, we'll take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about shipping bourbon. What's going on? We'll get to that in just a few. Hello, this is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network, and let's talk for a moment about our sponsors, the people that make this show happen. First up is our friends at Moonshine University. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification at their office in Louisville. The information I learned through lead instructor Colin Blake and their team there is something that I continue to draw upon frequently in my role at the ABV Network. It truly is the standard of establishing a benchmark of knowledge of the bourbon industry. From history to production to brands and people, it's all there. Check out their full listing of programs, including Executive Bourbon Steward Certification, production classes if you're considering starting a distillery, and much more at moonshineuniversity.com. I also want to talk about Neely Family Distillery. Back in May of 2018, I met Royce Neely at Limestone Branch's Craft Bourbon Festival. It ended up not only being the start of a great friendship, I started to truly learn about what makes craft whiskey so amazing. You see, I had been a bourbon drinker for over 30 years at that point, and like many people who had been drinking bourbon a long time, I was hard-coded into thinking big bourbon was where it was at and craft was on a journey to get there. Spending time with Royce and learning the things he does to make his whiskey taste better started to really get me to appreciate how things like sweet mashing, open top fermentation, pot distillation, and the grains you are using not only makes your product taste better coming off the still, but also out of the barrel as well. I still love heritage brands and they make up a bulk of my collection. But when you find a craft distiller that is truly dedicated to the craft of distilling, you are drinking some of the best whiskey out there on the market today. That's exactly what's happening at Neely Family Distillery today. Check them out on the web at neelyfamilydistillery.com, or better yet, stop by and see them at their distillery in Sparta, Kentucky. And now, back to the show.
This is Kathy Poole, and you are listening to the Bourbon Daily.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we're talking about shipping laws.
Yes, we are. So shipping is incredibly confusing. I think there's no rule that you can say, okay, here's what's happening. It literally has to be a conversation at every distillery that you go to. Even within states, you have to ask that distillery, do you ship? Because it's going to be up to them what they're doing, and up to the laws that they have governing them and their adherence to those laws. So sometimes we're not pointing fingers at anybody. We could care less. We just want to buy the bourbon. So I don't know what the rules are in Missouri. I don't think we're a very open state actually at this point. I think it was okay, and then they shut it down for just like a year and a half ago, where they're not supposed to ship stuff here, but it happens for the most part, and I don't have any issue with it. But I don't know. What about you guys? What are you guys seeing out there? Lenny, you have the ability to ship products, but I see it doesn't come from you.
No.
Is it from California?
Yeah.
Am I right? That's where I got it from, right? Because I bought it recently.
I mean, yeah, some states do allow the producer to do direct to consumer, at Kentucky being one of them. In some instances, and it matters where they are. But really, we are, for the most part, constrained by the 3-tier system of I'm only, for the most part, allowed to sell to my distributor. Then my distributor sells to the retailer, and then the retail sells to the consumer. And we price it by saying, well, this is how I do it anyway. What do I want my bottle to sell for on the shelf? Well, then I have to back it up to whatever my distributor is, going to take it for. And, that's a super bummer. But another thing that I think needs to be stated right off the cuff is that this isn't all super speculative. Like, we all know that it would make sense, or I think it would make sense. But the American Craft Spirits Association is considering this as their number one priority, to make direct consumer shipping a thing. And they've had a good success in the past. Discus is behind it as well. So this isn't a, hey, wouldn't it be cool if? I mean, I'm like putting all the chips on. This is going to happen.
Right. So what's your process now? Do you have to sell it to someone? And did you have to get into California just for that? Because you weren't in California before, were you?
Yeah. No. Well, we were lately. I mean, I don't know if many listeners would be familiar with this, but there's kind of a new concept of distribution that's in a lot of states now called LibDib, stands for Liberation Distribution. And they're more of a tech platform, but what they do is they have no salespeople. So you can be in California, and that just means anyone who orders from LibDib's portfolio, I would get a notification and ship that 6-pack to LibDib, and then it goes to that liquor store. Okay. So, it's kind of a neat model for a small brand, but it gets problematic when you're getting orders for like 10 6-packs a week. Well, then you're wasting all the money on shipping. Right. So we were in California, and then there's these middleman companies popping up, and they will work with a retailer to have product shipped. So, our margins aren't great there, but it is one way to get product out.
Yeah. I really tried to break your spirit. You did a $5 Bourbon Daily.
I know.
Flat rate shipping. I challenged the listeners to order 100 bottles just by themselves. And it's just to see what you do.
That's awesome.
Did anybody come up and place a 100 bottle order?
I don't think so. Somebody
that would have been epic.
Somebody bought like
Rick Renner. I'll take 100 of whatever. Just mix it up, however you want to do it. I'll take 100 bottles.
Yeah, you're also right. I can't seem to figure out discount codes, and as it was, there was no discount code needed.
No,
like you can't.
No, it didn't work. Yeah, the discount code didn't work, but then it was applied automatically. $5 flat rate shipping.
Yeah, so I kind of fucked myself on that one, but it's. But hey, what happens when the law changes and all of a sudden small distilleries can start selling to anyone across the country? Like, obviously, like that's good for any bourbon fan, but what about the small distillery that doesn't know how to get into a market? Like, I shouldn't say doesn't know how, but can't necessarily get into New York with traditional distribution, or LA or Chicago or all these markets where they might not have enough product to support the market because the distributor wants to take a few hundred cases. But now all of a sudden, the whole distribution game gets flipped on its head. We can push advertising online.
Yeah,
we
I
get
think
better margins.
It's going to be 100% great for you.
Yeah,
happens. Or
like when my
it'll be great for consumers.
Yeah.
It won't be good for the distributors, but who cares about the distributors? I want them gone anyway. Do I really want a third layer in there? Or am I as a consumer can say we can get rid of these distributors and just do it? Hell yeah, get rid of them.
So
they're adding a layer of cost in there. Screw it.
As I was like doing a little bit more research on this, like I've done a lot for Missouri, Illinois, Kentucky anyway, but I'm sitting here and I'm going through some other stuff and I'm like, I'm kind of rating it as I will never move to that state ever. Like Alabama has the worst laws ever. Like you can't ship anything within that state. You have to be there and buy it in person. Like you can't ship anything, even from retail aspect, you can't ship, so it's like small distilleries, small wineries, you can't ship within the state. You can't ship to anywhere.
I don't understand the purpose of restricting that as much as they do. Like, I know that like, obviously the distributors are in the politicians' pockets and stuff.
Right. I think that's the bottom line.
And like, that has to be the only reason because like, there's no other good reason to not allow it.
Correct.
Because it's stupid. And like now, they're trying to make it so it's legal to ship alcohol through USPS, which would be nice because FedEx is expensive.
And not necessarily as comprehensive as the post office. So if there's certain locations you want to ship to, FedEx really isn't a great option, whereas the post office is literally everywhere. So
yeah,
I get into some of that with like Alaska. We got a couple that are so remote. You can't do FedEx or anything. Do I want to spend $200 to ship a bottle, or do I want to ship it by the post office for $26?
Yeah,
I mean, if you look at e-com right now and like where we were 15 years ago versus now, and what the consumers are doing online and ordering, like with some of the, with Amazon, and things like that. Now you're talking about letting the distilleries have that option and maybe making it to where they can ship or wineries can ship. Who loses out on that? And that's 100% going to be distribution companies. And you look at each state, how many large distribution companies are there within each state? So you are definitely going to take a big chunk of money, I think, away from
both distribution and liquor stores.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
It cuts into their pockets a whole lot. And obviously, they're deep in the politicians' pockets as well.
Yep.
Another problem with shipping is, especially for smaller distilleries, is everyone is in this mindset nowadays of Amazon. You click a button, you click that button on Monday morning and it's going to be delivered to you by Tuesday evening or Wednesday morning.
Yep.
And that is not the reality of when you're dealing with a small business for the most part, because we don't have just shipping centers and they're just sitting there waiting for your order to come through and we're tossing it directly in a bag and we're shipping it out the door. I mean, that's just not the reality of it. And that's what's annoying whenever anyone does, ask to ship, and they'll call. I had a lady call the day after. She got in there late on like a Sunday night. We closed at 6:00. They showed up at 5:55 and didn't leave till like almost 7:00. And they had some things and they wanted them shipped out for them because they didn't want to bring them back home. And then she called Monday morning and goes, I haven't gotten any sort of confirmation yet. Why have I not gotten a confirmation? And I go, ma'am, you did this yesterday. I was like, this is not immediate. I will be calling you this week and I'm going to give you a price for shipping because we didn't charge you for shipping yet. And I said, I'd call her back. And she called again after I had called her and left her a message. She called and complained and said she didn't have any messages. No one's ever called her. I mean, dealing with people with shipping is also a major problem because frankly, people are annoying and they're overly needy. They don't understand. In all seriousness, they don't understand that this is not Amazon. The
Yeah.
world is not, I mean, a majority of the world right now is Amazon, frankly, because it is easy. But when you are ordering from a small business, you need to understand that it might take 2 to 3 weeks for things to show up sometimes, because you just don't always have the manpower or the time to get things packed up and shipped to you. And so when there is this direct to customer, shipping, be fucking patient.
This sounds like the beginning of a crime documentary.
Exactly.
Hasn't happened yet.
It sounds like Jeff Bezos needs to be listening to this conversation. Actually, he might have retired.
Oh, he wants
didn't
in. Oh, Bezos
But,
wants in on that. He already
if
has.
he could.
He's been wanting to get alcohol on
Yeah.
Amazon.
I would imagine. It'd be great for Amazon, but it's just, that's just another fucking distributor.
right.
Rebecca,
Right, but a distributor that can
Is
give
a liquor
you
store too.
that product.
basically. Yeah.
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 But that's going to be hindered too by, especially what distilleries are they going to work with, and how fast can they get product there, and how much
That's
product
the
do
thing.
they have
It's
on
not going
hand.
to be a bunch of craft distillers, because guess what? We don't have the fucking product to just go ship it off to fucking Amazon and have it sit in their warehouse, wherever the fuck they do it. I don't know how they do it. Steve, we just got our Amazon shop, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
do they have our stuff? Do they ship it out, or do you ship it?
they ship it out. No, they handle all that. So yeah.
So we don't have the stuff, the extra stuff sitting around to just wait around in a warehouse for someone fucking Joe Schmo to order it eventually.
No.
Yeah.
I think Amazon would do in a way, and they could have like regional. Here's the ones that are regional, and here we have a certain supply. Amazon could figure it out where it's pretty cool. But again, do we want to give more to the evil empire? Is already pretty strong. How much bigger would they be if they controlled? Basically, they could take over all alcohol. Really, the way they get down on shipping and stuff like that, they could be a huge player. So I think we want to keep them out of it just for.
But they're at least a model that's what we would want it to look or feel like if you could get distributors out of the way, right?
Yeah.
You would almost want it to feel like how the Amazon can do it.
I'd imagine it's just that when it comes to a small distillery, that's just it's not realistic thinking that your shipment's going to go out the next fucking day. Now, sometimes it does. There's some days where you call on the right day, and when we do shipments, it's on usually certain days of the week. I usually keep it on Monday or a Wednesday, and you call Sunday night or Saturday, and guess what? I'll get it packed up and it'll get out the door right away on Monday.
I was just going to say,
But there's sometimes where there's these big fucking piles of stuff, and it's like, there's no way I'm going to get through this stuff, and they're just going to have to, they're going to have to wait. I'm busy.
well, you guys would have to rethink, like smaller distilleries would have to rethink like the whole shipping and customer service aspect of that. And like having something stated on the website, like we ship Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or we ship on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Also, expect delivery within 2 weeks.
Yes.
Don't expect delivery unless someone calls and they're like, I need this by this day. Can you please get it shipped to us immediately? It's not going to be.
It should feel more like a pre-order. I'm paying for it right now, and then I expect it to be delivered at some date.
It should be within 2 weeks. And I think that when people call continuously, I had one guy calling, he goes, this isn't like you to ship it out so late. And I was like, I had actually already shipped it, but FedEx had some sort of issue and they weren't delivering stuff. He goes, this isn't like you that you wouldn't get this to me right away. And I'm like, sir,
you don't know me.
I have it shipped.
Right.
It is at FedEx. They have it. And I'm sorry that it's not there. Well, this isn't like you.
And guess what? It is like me.
Exactly. I'm like, I usually like to take 2 weeks
like
just to really make it stretch it out. I'm like,
Becca.
Here's your tracking number. This is not my problem. And then on top of that, there's also people that call after the fact and they go, where's my box? I had a lady that called and she said, haven't got my box yet. Where is it? And I'm like, it literally says delivered. And she's like, well, it's not here. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. And she goes,
Right.
Well, are you going to refund me my money? And I'm like,
No.
It says delivered. And she goes, I spent $400. And I'm like, I understand that, but also it's our $400 that we gave you a product. I packed it up. I shipped
Shows it was delivered.
So at that point, they don't want.
Turns out her son had put it in the garage.
In his mouth.
Yeah. So he put it in the garage and she didn't know about it. you know, and so there's just like, there's also so many headaches that come along with all the shipping stuff as well, of like people complaining, things getting stolen off your off your like front porch, broken bottles.
But again, that's not a you issue as far as the distillery. That's not a you issue.
That's
their issue.
It's not a me issue, but guess who gets the phone calls?
And I'd be like, call FedEx.
We do. Yeah. We get the call and we get the calls about like, why is it not here or why, whatever it is. So,
you know, though, let's say this happens, like fast forward, I'm going to be optimistic and say 6 to 8 months. What do you think small distilleries that take an active role in marketing their product online and dealing with the customer service issues, what percentage of their sales happen through online when we fast forward to that?
Yeah, I would love to have someone, you know, we do have precedent here. Wineries have been doing this for years. They pretty much have free reign to send out their own stuff. I mean, and I don't think it's an overwhelming amount. That's initially everybody thinks, well, then it all turns into that. No, it doesn't. Not everyone's going to order their stuff online. They're still going to go to the stores. It's still going to be the local craft will be at the local store. And that's where the bulk of the things are, at the distillery and in the local stores. It's just not going to change that much. It's going to be the true fans, people like us, people that listen to this podcast would be the ones that are searching out and trying to find things via mail if it happened.
Yeah, I think to your point on that, like, you know, we talk about Deerhammer, we talk about Neely Family Distillery, we talk about, you know, a lot of other craft distilleries, and people that listen to this that don't get the opportunity to go visit you, or they're not getting online, but then all of a sudden there's a platform and they're like, oh wait, I can order? Well, heck yeah, I'm going to try this, and this, you know, and I think at that point it becomes a you know, it's probably not going to be 30%, you know, of the business, but it may sometimes be 15 to 20.
But when we look at the broader landscape and think, you know, there's a precedent for wine doing this. There's also a precedent for, like Steve, I don't know if that's an actual Tommy Bahama shirt, but let's say whoever made that shirt, of course,
I'll wear the real deal.
But what if you were a knockoff and there was a company that was like, no, we only do direct to consumer. We maintain our margins and we sell 100% of our stuff direct to consumer. And like that happens with bikes and all kinds of stuff.
Sure. That could happen.
The rise of distilleries that don't distribute beyond direct to consumer sales.
Possibly.
I mean, I tend to think 50% of my Deerhammer sales could go direct to consumer. And that,
especially because you're in a weird spot for people outside of your area. And people that want to try your stuff, they hear about.
And you're in a tourist area, so people trying it, then leaving.
Yeah, and then they leave
and then back home, and then they want to buy it. Right.
Here's another cool facet of it. You know, like when we talk about margins and how it works, where we're like, you know, knocking off a chunk for the distributor to make their cut, and then for the liquor store to make their cut, and that's great because that model does work. What happens when, you know, I get an order and I ship a bottle, all of a sudden shipping can be free. Like I can discount it. I can take off shipping and I'm still making more money per bottle than I would ever make in the traditional system.
Right.
Would you want to knock off money if you ship direct to consumer?
No.
Would you say you wouldn't want to ship for free, right?
I would ship for free. And I'm saying that now. I don't know if that'll hold up in, you know, whenever this happens, but I look at that and think, why not? I mean, I think that's a nice carrot to be like free shipping. Normally shipping's $10. All of a sudden.
Yeah. You cut out the middleman. You cut out the middleman and you got the money to do it. Here's the only problem. Number one, you know, let's be honest. Distributors add almost no value for their distillery partners. Almost no value. They add zero value to us as consumers. They don't do a damn thing for us. So we'd love to get rid of them. But what they do, they add value to the politicians. They take a lot of that money that they make, they're making a shitload of money. They're putting a lot in politicians' pockets to help with legislature. Some of the biggest power brokers in laws in Missouri are the big distributors here because they have that power. And then the other thing is, at this point, there's no avenue to collect money. So Beka sells $400 worth of her bourbon to a consumer in Missouri. The argument that distributor is going to make is, by the way, that's going to be $400 they don't spend on Missouri bourbon, and then we don't collect any tax on that. That's going to all be in Kentucky. It's not going to go to us, and that's why it's going to be a holdup. They've got that the stick that they have is, hey, you're not going to collect the tax money on this if they sell it into your market. And by the way, you're also reducing the amount they're going to spend on the products here because they are spending it out of state.
Well, and the amount of lobbyists that I have seen with bigger liquor stores, one I previously worked with, the amount of lobbyists in just each state that they have is crazy. I mean, it's crazy. You get a phone call and you're like, and they're telling you, oh, tomorrow you're going to host the Republican, all the Republican congressmen and everything for this state at your store. And, all the Democrat party is going to go to this other store at the same time. It's crazy. And the amount of lobbyists that we had in the state just trying to change liquor laws.
Yeah. But if any of my distributor reps or anyone at my distribution company is listening to this, I don't agree with Heidi or Steve. I don't like Steve's shirt. It's not true. They add tons of value.
No, they don't. They're terrible. They're terrible.
Well, here's the thing, though. In all reality, we've got a phenomenal distributor in Colorado who, they take a pretty big cut, but we don't have to have a sales rep in Colorado. They put our stuff in every liquor store and bar within reason in Colorado. And if we need something once a year, we might say, hey, can we get a favor from you? And they say, yes, like we love them. It's just, I also want to do direct to consumer. So I feel like distributors aren't all bad. They're just, it's unfortunate. That's a necessity.
They don't mean to be bad.
No, they're just doing the mob
job that they're there for. Like that, like they're doing the job. They're not trying to,
but they
trying to screw us over. It's just that when you're a small distillery, it sucks when we're selling them something for $8 a bottle that we sell for $26 a bottle.
Though, I'll joke about it, but the reality is I get weird looks from other distillers in Colorado when they ask me how I like one of the biggest distributors in the country. And I say, I absolutely love them. They think I'm crazy, but for getting our product around Colorado, I think they're great. I just want the opportunity to get it.
I will say that because they do bring your stuff into random stores and they do tastings and stuff like that.
Because you know why? Because they suck. They're getting the local guy. That's the easiest sale in the world. Hey, Lenny and hey, tell you what, you use that same big distributor and you go over and take them into Missouri or Illinois or something like that, and wait till you see. You're going to be pushed so far down the gravy train, you're not even going to see your product.
That's why I want direct to consumer to happen.
You're going to sell 3 bottles in Illinois. You're going to be full distribution across the state.
I agree.
You're going to get 3 bottles.
I agree.
Because they suck. They do.
In other states,
the industrial complex that gets
because
created.
then you have someone like me. You have someone like me standing over in the bourbon aisle, and all of a sudden, I'm like, "Oh no!" Is somebody standing there like, "Oh, what should I get?" You should get the Deer Hammer.
They can only do the low hanging fruit. That's all they can do. So if Deer Hammer's a good sale because they make a good product and they're local, they can do that. That they can do.
Yeah, but then I want to pick up the slack and I want to kick in with just superior online advertising strategies that allow direct consumer ordering, and it's on me if people see those ads and respond to them or not. I think that's cool.
There you go.
The potential.
Well, there you go. There's a discussion on shipping. You can see it's complex. There's a lot of factors in there that go above and beyond just what's black and white. There's a lot of gray in there when you're talking about laws and dealing with politicians and all that kind of stuff. And it's also the fact that there's not going to be a unilateral way to do this. You got to do it state by state. So it's always tough and confusing. This isn't a federal issue. It's going to be a state by state thing. So it's going to be something that's not going to be resolved in the next 3 to 6 months, but it does if anything, we are kind of going in the right direction. It feels there are some good things happening. So maybe it'll get better over time. All right. With that, we'll wrap this one up by talking about where people can find us. We're going to start with Evan. Evan, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Evan Van Scoik, or Instagram, Wit Wisdom Whiskey.
All right, Lenny.
You can find myself and the rest of Deer Hammer on social media at Deer Hammer, on the web at deerhammer.com. You can also direct to consumer order Deer Hammer, although we don't get the full cut of it, at deerhammer.com. Coupon codes don't really work, and shipping might take forever, but give it a go.
And it may or may not be $5. It just depends on how the website's working.
Facts.
All right, Heidi.
You can find me on Facebook as Heidi Topol Eller, or you can find me on Instagram as Heller_Barrel Babe.
All right, Miss Beka Sue.
You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Miss Beka Sue, 1K, no C's.
All right, for me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. We've also got a company website. That thing's abvnetwork.com. Check it out because everything that we do is out there. Previous shows, blogs, so much more, abvnetwork.com. Miss Beka Sue, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I'd just like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review that includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. If you like what we're doing, we ask that you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
All All right, great job today, gang. For audience, we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. The one we're doing on October 14th looks a little messed up. We're recording that one next. Should be fun. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace. Before we finish the show, let's chat for a moment about Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you just want to experiment on a small scale on the stove in your kitchen or try your hand at a bigger setup in the backyard, Moonshine Still Pro can help. They have different still offerings as well as accessories and even grains from Goldstone Mill to help you make whiskey on par with what you get from your favorite distillery. They can even assist with a DIY still project by supplying some of the parts you can't make yourself. Check them out at moonshinestillpro.com. At the ABV Network, we're lucky enough to have some great friends. Amongst those friends is the Goldstein family, owners of Goldstone Mill. Goldstone Mill is a full-service mill offering a variety of heritage and heirloom grains. Their unique approach of working with mills around the country allows them to offer you affordable shipping opportunities to meet the unique needs of your distillery or brewery. They will consult with you to ensure the grains you are selecting meets the unique flavor profiles you are looking for. If you are a home brewer or distiller and you're looking for the grains that your local distillery or brewery uses, Goldstone Mill is the place to look. Check them out on the web at goldstonemill.com, call them at 217-254-6613, or shoot them an email at hello@goldstonemill.com.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.